What's going on, everyone? What's up? What's up? What's up? What's going on, everyone? We are here. I want to welcome you to another episode of the Purple Room by Tribaja. We're back again for another week, right? We made it another week. We have another phenomenal workshop. So if this is your first time tuning in, if you've tuned in before, regardless, I just want to say welcome to another episode of the Purple Room by Tribaja. Now, this is a space where we can create real conversations, real growth, real strategy, all for professionals of color and underrepresented talent in the tech industry, in the business industry, and beyond, right? So I'm your host, Armand Cheeks, Diversitech, Techfluencer, and founder of Signal Solution Marketing and Consulting Services. And I'm excited to welcome you back to this powerful series. The last couple weeks, we've had some phenomenal workshops already. If you haven't checked it out, please make sure you go back to go on YouTube. You can go on LinkedIn and check out any of the previous episodes. But you'll definitely want to make sure that you tune in because we have a lot going on over these next couple weeks. We're pretty much back to back for the next couple weeks. So I will first say get caught up in some of the episodes that you've missed because there have been some really great strategies on how to maximize or how to go through a career pivot, how to accelerate your career. And today, we have another top tier subject matter expert that's here to lead a high impact workshop. And that's going to help you level up your skills, level up the mindset, and most importantly, be in control of your career trajectory. That's exactly what we want, right? So today's topic is super important for you, those of you that are looking to let's be honest, let's say maximize your potential. You know that there's more for you, more for your career, more that you want, more that's in store for you. So you definitely want to make sure you're taking advantage of that, right? So our guest today is Karla Hill. Now, I'm going to give you the opportunity to go scroll on her LinkedIn page later, but I'll give you her bio. Karla Hill is a seasoned human resources executive, a career coach, and empowerment uh, helping individuals achieve economic empowerment through career planning, business development, and asset building. Right. She is the founder of GPS Career and Business Strategies, a firm that supports business owners and professionals in transforming their careers and organizations using proven HR tools and strategies. Um, this part I love right here. She earned her bachelor's degree from the CUNY University, City University of New York, Brooks College, and a master's degree from Chestnut Hill College in Philadelphia. I'm a New Yorker, and I knew I felt that New York energy, so I'm loving it. I'm loving it. But she holds senior level certifications from both the Society of Human Resource Management, so SHRM, and Human Resources Certification Institute, HRCI. She is also certified to administer the Myers-Briggs Type Indicator and career direct assessment tools. Now, after a successful 35-year career as an HR executive, Karla recently retired from her corporate role, but not from her purpose. She remains actively engaged in guiding individuals on what I'm going to say to their next opportunity. I will, before I bring her up to the stage, I'll always say that I find it so powerful when people that have built themselves in the corporate world are able to take that knowledge and apply it to their realm of business. The skills and things that we employ on our jobs, our day to day, doesn't matter how long we're at that career. Those skills are ultimately a part of us, and when we leave that organization, we always do have the opportunity to expand upon those skills and impact people with the gifts that we have built and the gifts that we've been given, right? So today's workshop is titled Maximizing Potential, Transitioning in Tech and Business with Drive. So whether you're navigating a career shift, entering the tech world, or stepping into leadership, I know Karla's session will equip you with the mindset, tools, and strategy to do it with clarity and confidence. So, without me, I'm gonna get off the soapbox. Without further delay, let's dive into today's session with Karla Hill. I'm gonna bring Karla up to the stage, and while I'm bringing Karla up to the stage, if you are watching in the comments, whether it be live or in the video, I would love some engagement. I would love for you to type where you're tuning in from, what's something that you're looking to learn. Actually, the question for today is, how can you maximize your potential? In what way are you looking to maximize your potential? That's going to be the question that we're going to have while I bring Karla up to the stage right now. So bear with me. Let me bring Karla up to the stage. We're going to get a little virtual round of applause. And hello, Karla. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you
I
hear
can
me,
hear you
Armand?
loud and clear, and I know the audience can hear you loud and clear. They're excited and ready for your workshop, and I want to thank you for being here.
I'm so excited to be here. Can you see my screen,
I'm
my
gonna
slides?
bring your screen up right now. Perfect. Oh, look at us on there. You know what? We don't need my face up here twice. We can take your face up here twice, but mine, we're gonna drop me down. The stage is all yours. If you need anything, you know how to reach me. And I'm gonna be engaging with
Yeah,
everyone in the comments. So I look forward to seeing you guys in the comments.
wonderful. Thank you for your support. It's that New York energy, just like you said. I am so excited to be here. And I want to thank Shannon Morales, Tribaja, and you for hosting this great event. Now, one of the things that I want to share, I'm not a techie. You read my bio. I'm an HR person, people oriented. But I have to say, some of my most favorite projects have been working with technologists. I could think of one about 10 years ago where we called it technology, efficiency, and clarity in human resources. And I worked very closely with our technology team. And what I saw was I had a staff of 20, and we were tracking all of our HR stuff. It was I'm not exaggerating. It was about 38 separate spreadsheets used among the staff to track our work. And the goal was to have one way of tracking so we can count the data, because you could imagine the mess that was in terms of, okay, you want to put the name Robert in. Some people will put Rob or R, or it was just a mess. So ever since that time, I've had such a great appreciation for people who operate in their gifts and talents. I could see the big picture, but there are people that are more detailed that would be able to say, Karla, this is a mess. So it's garbage in, garbage out. So one of the things I want to start with is a quote from Oprah Winfrey. And it really talks to the first step in any career planning, career pivoting, is really figure out who you are. We are our best asset. People know more about their phones and their cars than they do themselves. And it's getting that baseline, right, in terms of personality, interests, skills, and values. So what Miss Winfrey said, I've come to believe that each of us has a personal calling that's as unique as a fingerprint, and that the best way to succeed is to discover what you love and then find a way to offer it to others in the form of service, working hard, and also allowing the energy of the universe to lead you. And again, I want you to think about, what are you bringing to the marketplace? What's in you? That's really the whole goal of this, as opposed to everything's in, AI is in, this is in, that's in. What's in you is really what I want to talk about here. So it's empowering your transition, whatever your next is, right? It's unleashing your true potential. And this is what we're going to do. I'm going to use a tool. I have many tools in my career planning toolbox, the experience, knowing that there's 33 different occupational pathways there, um, being that HR executive for years, as well as helping people to figure out who they are. So, the goals for today: learn how your favorite activities could be linked to your next chapter. A lot of times people tend to live in silos, saying, oh, I'm just doing this so I could earn money to do what I really want to do. It's really, let's see what we can integrate, and then connect your own experiences, like classes you enjoy or hobbies, to the career that may be best for you. And one thing that I find there is, since I've been an employees representative for years, a person in the community, The person that you work for, or even if you're looking at your own business, we want you to be happy in what you're doing as well. Right? It's a win-win when you know what you want to do, what fuels you, and you bring that to the workplace or to your own business. It's a wrap. It's a competition of what you're bringing, and we want you to bring your best stuff. So you want to explore careers that build on your strengths and interests and get hands-on experience. There's tools in your career planning toolbox I want you to think about. One of my favorite ones is, once you kind of know what your talents are, what you're looking for, onetonline.org is where I get that stat about 33,000 different occupational paths, and it'll give you tons of information on each of those areas that you're looking for. So the first thing I want to share, that career planning is a process. It's a system, and the goal is to stack the odds in your favor. So I'm going to ask everyone, get a piece of paper. Now, you guys are techies, or, millennials, Gen Zs. You can use your phone, but I want you to track it. This is an exercise that I want you to first pick a number. Again, write down the number, type it to you, whatever you want to do. Use a memo section on your phone, but I want you to pick a number between 1 and 10. And then I want you to double that number, that same number you picked, 1 to 10, and then you're going to double that number. Then you're going to add 6 to that number. That number, you're going to take half that number. I told you to get that piece of paper. There's some instructions here, the piece of paper or the memo section. Subtract your original number. And then on the count of 2, I want you to say that number. 1, 2. Everyone should have 3. And the point there is, even though we all started at different numbers, we end up at the same end result. And that's what career planning is also. So let's discuss that some more. So this is a quick assessment. One of the tools in my toolbox, it's called the drive assessment. And I want you to look at each of the colored boxes, the green box, the lavender box, the orange box, the blue box, as well as the black box. And I want you to look at the group of words in each of those boxes. And I'm going to ask that you select the top 2 boxes that have the most words that make you feel important. I'll say that again. And Armand, I'm going to ask you to participate, since I know you can hear me. So Armand, I want to make sure that's clear. So I'm asking you to look at the 5 boxes, the one with the green, lavender, orange, blue, and black. You're looking at the groups of words in each of those boxes, and then you're going to select the top 2 boxes that have the most words that make you feel important. Is that clear? So for those of you that can hear me, I'm going to give you a minute to select the top 2 boxes. And this is a drive assessment. D is for directors. R is for relators. I is for intellectuals. V is for validators. And E is for executive. And this tool was originally created to measure buying motives, why people buy, and how they go about making the decision to buy. Now, over the course of the 18 years that it's been in existence, it's really evolved into what motivates people. Because if you could think about it, if you're motivated to buy something, you're fueled by something. It's that first variable, that first letter that you picked, or that first color that you picked. You pick that letter because that's almost your why, what really excites you, what makes you feel important. And then the second one is your how you go about getting to that goal. So we're going to talk more about that drive system. Now, a little bit about me. As Armand read my bio, I'm a native New Yorker. I have my career planning practice, GPS Career and Business Strategies, undergraduate degree from Baruch College. 35 years, just retired in October 2024. And one of the things I loved about working in government is that there's not an occupation you can name that does not exist in government, from our uniformed people to our laborers to our technologists. I just love supporting the different types of occupations, and that's what I bring to my practice now. Also, partner with my husband in real estate. I want to make sure that people have economic options and serve on a couple of different boards and professional associations. Now, in terms of the drive system, I'm going to go into depth what each one means. So, hopefully, you've documented what your first one was, that color, which was D, the green, the R, which was the lavender, the I, which was the orange, the V, which was the blue, and the E, which was the black. And we're going to go over what each one means. So, again, it's a tool in your toolbox. Remember, whatever pivot you're taking, you are looking at yourself. Meaning, one of the things that we talk about in assessment circles is if you stay within, you'll never go without. The issue is that people are always looking external as opposed to internal. So, if you selected D, you are a director. If your first letter was the D or the green, you are really motivated by lifestyle. You have a clear vision for what you want to do. You are a person that loves creativity and design. So remember that as the D, because it really plays into what your career selection is. That's what's going to fuel you. Now the R, if you're an R, my first one is an R. R's are for relators if you had that lavender choice. Relators are motivated by community, by giving back, by mentoring. So for my career over the course of time has been in human resources, career planning. I like to help people get to that next level. My career selections are always going to be, and what I recommend to people, this is what fuels me. It's always going to, I have to have an impact on people. So it makes sense that I would spend 35 years as an HR person. Then the next one is that I. Now, many of you may or may not be the I. That orange, this is intellectuals. Intellectuals are motivated by systems, by order, by information, by knowledge. So if this is what fuels you, then having a career in technology really may make sense, but it's still a sub niche under that, right? Because not all technology careers are just about the systems. And then the V is for validators. The validators are motivated by, let's say, external validation, right? They like the trophies. Uh, they are also great at giving validation. They tend to be people focused as well. They love to have the trust of their team members. So if that's something that really appeals to you, there are certain careers that align with that drive also. And then it's the E, executives. Executives are motivated by bottom line, by proof, by problem solving. My secondary is an executive. To sum that up, I am interested in helping people achieve their economic empowerment goals. Right? So, in terms of having that alignment of my internal motivations aligning with my career interests, that's what I want for everyone. Now, even to go in more in depth, as a director, the one with the green, you enjoy a good challenge and love to feel free and independent. They thrive on being creative, discovering new things, and experiencing life. They're great in social settings, putting together a variety of people and making something happen. Again, that creativity. They find joy in overcoming obstacles and making a difference in the world. Just adding more definition to the relators, for those of you that selected relators, they know how to build strong, long term, healthy relationships. In the workplace, their strength is in networking and building other people up to a higher level of productivity. They garner energy and security through their relationships. They are loyal to their friends and are service minded. So you can see someone that likes to be that forward facing with employees or with customers. They may love technology, but they need the fuel of impacting people. So that's what I want you to think about from the lens of your careers. Intellectuals, they are stimulated intellectually either through books, speeches, research, conversations, or organization. They like to go down that rabbit hole. They want to find out the problem. If they don't have the information, it drives them crazy. They are designed to find. It's not, let me, oh, it's a little bit off. No, that's not acceptable to them. They have to reconcile when they complete the task, when it makes sense, when it's clear, and they have all the information. And I want to get this right. There's one's not better than the other. The goal is for you to understand who you are and make sure you fully leverage that in selecting your next. It's not that, oh, I've always done this. No, this is the season for you to figure out who you are and then live a career by design as opposed to default. Now, the individuals that are more the validators, they enjoy intimate small groups. They like, again, like I said, that positive validation. They love being around their teammates. They love feeling trusted and making sure that they're adding value. Executives, like I said, we want goals. You, I want individuals to end up in the right roles for both reasons. The employer, as a business owner, as a person, employer's representative, I want to make sure I get the best person. As a person that cares about individuals achieving optimization, career optimization, I want you to understand who you are so you bring your best stuff to that employer or that business that you look to start. Again, just as a summary, drive, right? And like I said, it was originally created to monitor, to measure and monitor buying motives, but this is what fuels you internally. If you selected the green or the D, you are motivated by creativity, by lifestyle. Relators, more community. Intellectuals, systems. Validators seek to be admired and trusted, and executives want bottom line proof. Now, some of the challenges, right? So if you're feeling frustrated in your current roles, it's almost like a violation of your primary drive, right? So directors, if you're more of a creative and you feel that you are being restricted, right? You have to go back to the office, so to speak, and didn't have remote work. You like to feel free and independent. If you feel that you're not living a life by design, not going by your purpose, that could be leading to your frustration. You're not experiencing really what you want. And not everybody's that way. You're that way. Again, my challenge to you is to figure out who you are. And relators, the thing is, if you don't, and I've had this throughout my career, what I know when I'm in the wrong role, if I'm not really impacting people in some sort of way. One of the most important things that was very valuable to me was creating other HR managers, creating other people that I mentored, bringing in interns. That's part of the legacy that I wanted to leave as well, right? And then intellectuals, and I've had tons of intellectuals that have worked for me in retrospect, in terms of having that powerful team. When they can't get the information that they're looking for, they are so valuable when they have all the information. And as a executive over the years, part of that role is making sure that your people are getting what they need. The intellectuals, they will be so helpful to you if they get the information that they need. So, and if it's not organized, it's helping them feel organized by getting them the information that they need, but that's their design. And then validators, again, they're just seeking trust, they're seeking support, they want to help. The creator of this tool says these are your 3 a.m. friends. If you're in trouble at 3 a.m. and you know who, and you need to call somebody, they're going to be there. They want to feel really valued and needed, and they will support you to the bitter end. They make excellent team leaders because they seek to really pour into you. And then executives, they are, if they don't feel in control, if they're not hitting their numbers, if they don't feel that they're winning, and or it's too many goals, they haven't prioritized, they feel that they are really being overwhelmed, and that's a challenge there. So if you feel like this in your current roles, then it's really just taking a check, taking a pause, and assessing who you are. Now, why I brought this up is this is how it aligns with careers that you may be looking for in the tech careers. I've aligned each drive type with potential careers because there's so many different technology careers. One, it's not everybody's made for. Now, I believe that AI is integrated or should be or will be, if it's not already, in everything that we do, okay? But in terms of, let's say, the technology sector, if you are more that creative type, if you're the person that just sees, you envision things and you want to grow and you're innovative, then you might want to be that project manager. You may want to be that software developer and that tech team lead, right? Because these roles require freedom, independence, creativity, and overcoming challenges. So that's how I set it up, where I want you to understand what it is and why it's important. This is not just, oh, this is fun, this is interesting. Oh, I'm a director, intellectual, I'm a relator. No, the reason that I'm bringing this up and why it's so important, and I've seen it and I've vetted it through my career and some of my career people that are around me and my clients, is that if you're in the wrong sector, if you're in the wrong place, that where you it doesn't align with your personality, interest, skills, values, your motivation, the chances of performance issues and you're not doing your best work is really high, right? So that's why it's so important to not just study the job external. It's important to know what your best stuff is and to bring that to the marketplace in the form of your next role or a business. Relators, right? If you're more relator looking for that technology space, then you're looking to be that customer success manager, that technical support specialist, possibly, right? Because you are focusing on relationships. And how many people know? A lot of times, our technologists will have a reputation of not being the friendliest, or and that's just bias, but because there's so many different roles. So if you have a knack, if you have a skill in knowing technology, but you are get fueled by people and having an impact on people, I want you to be able to focus on that role for yourself. And I can do this because I'm a nerd when it comes to career pathways. I can really do this for almost any industry, of what is your internal motivation, because that's what's going to fuel you. We spend most of our waking hours working, so it really does make a difference if you know what motivates you there, you know what to look for. If you're more of that typical, right? And when I say typical, of what society sees as a technologist, the person behind the screen, the person that's just, not everybody's that way. But if you are that way, and again, one's not better than the other. It's like, what's more important, your pinky or your thumb? All these roles are really important. But as an intellectual, giving you ideas, maybe it is that software engineer, maybe it is that data scientist, right? Because we are paying the marketplace is paying you to be exact, right? To be specific. It's if they're paying you money for something, you want to know what the expectations are. And the better you are at designing where you're supposed to be by aligning with your design, the more it makes sense. Because as an intellectual, you thrive on knowledge and learning. You have high standards in organization. Things, it's almost like that quality control person. You're like, no, it's not good enough, right? I compare it sometimes to an accountant. So somebody might say, oh, that's not very specific and detailed and conscientious that way. They're like, oh, it's okay. We're only off by a penny. Now, okay, that may be fine for your own budget or something else, but let's say you're doing multiple hundreds of transactions. Being a penny off does make a difference. So I have great respect for the intellectuals. They keep things right. The validators, right? The ones that love being that team leader, love getting the trust from people. Maybe you are that chief technology officer, right? Where you are making presentations on behalf of the team, that IT consultant, right? Coming up with the recommendations because you like the recognition, you like the acceptance, and you like being needed where you are. And a lot of times validators get that names is that what happens is they're also great at giving validation, and almost everybody needs validation, and that's why they make excellent team leaders. Now, that executive, just like it sounds, right? Maybe you are that IT director, that information systems manager, that IT project manager, where you are being charged with bringing in that project on time, right? So you are that bridge between really the executive team, the C-suite, as well as your staff. So you have to understand all these roles, but you are find that the buck stops with you. And not everybody's called to that task. You have to realize if you are called to that task. So because that role, those roles are specifically about controlling, winning, achieving goals, right? They don't want to hear about this not working, that because they know they have to answer to the CEO in some instances. Now, in terms of when you are looking at the roles, right, that you're looking for, it's you are looking for that wow. You are looking for, is this stimulating to me? This is this something I really want to do? Because you will get bored if you're a director. Does the job, you're looking at the job or the position, is this exciting? Does it, again, because you're working so many hours, you want to make sure that it's fueling you. And then in terms of a later, like, am I, is my work going to be impacted by people? Can I see that, right? Intellectuals, does it have clear step by step instructions, or you're going to have to create those step by step instructions? Does it make your life easier? And does your product or your service, right, you're looking for that team, let's all work together, let's figure this out, right? You are looking at serving your teams. And then that executive, right, it's the bottom line. They want to know, is the project finished? Is it ready to go? They don't want to, the CEOs, executives, commissioners, they don't want to know how the sausage was made. They just want to know, was it made or not? And that's what the IT director, that's what the chief technology officer is charged with. Now, just in terms of business careers, like I said, I could do this for almost any sector and I see it, right? So again, if you're more of that director, maybe you are looking for, I was meeting with someone today about how, yes, their number one trait on my career direct tool that I did for them was that they're innovative, right? So maybe a clue in terms of your business career, if the company, the organization, if they have innovation units, innovation functions in that role as a director, that might really appeal to you, right? And that they're looking to move to that next level. They're looking for new strategies. Again, if you're looking at pivoting in business careers, researching the companies to see if they don't have innovation in their mission or they don't have it in their org chart, maybe that's not the place for you. Right? And when you are coming up with, because if we're researching, oh, I'm researching, what are you researching for? The goal of that research is to find out if it aligns with you. You are looking for a match. I share with people, I'm looking for people who are looking for me. It's not just any type of random job. But if you don't know how you're designed, if you don't understand your inventory, then really what are you looking for? And then that relator, like I talked about, being in HR, right? These are business careers, customer service manager in any type of industry. And one little hack also for general roles, when I say general roles, our fiscal people, our human resources people, our communications people, our IT people, I would really look for roles in your area of interest. If you love sports, every organization needs one of those types of roles. So if you are really vetting it down, maybe you should really be intentional. Hey, I want to be a technologist for a sports team. If you love education, maybe a university, right? So again, that requires work, but I'm saying let's knit it together as that relator. And sales, some people look at sales as servicing people, right? So because it's the emphasis on relationships, influence, service, and communication. And as that intellectual in business, if you love, again, reconciling, I want my accountant, I want my finance person, I want them to be as detailed as possible. I want them to, and my research people, because they are looking to get it right. They are looking to understand. They're going to ask questions. They're going to be analytical. And I've had people work for me in that. And sometimes they might rub people the wrong way, like, oh, it's never right, but you want it to be right. Right. So that's why it allows you to have the benefit of all these people. You want people to bring their best stuff to whatever they're working in. And that validator, right? That training manager, they're looking to equip and bring people along, right? They're fostering that team working together and that built-in validation where as that team leader, if you're almost like a conductor, you're putting things in place and you're making sure people have what they need. And then as that executive, again, just as it sounds, so being that chief financial officer or that operations manager, right? They're strong leaders, goal oriented, not making excuses, and being highly organized. So again, do you see how knowing who you are really helps you? It's there's an old school game. I don't know if you guys play it now, but it was like when I was a kid, hide and seek, right? You're getting warmer and warmer when there's 33,000 different occupations. How do you decide what you should focus on? And what I'm submitting to you is the first step is really to figure out who you are. And it's not just an accounting of your skills. Well, I guess I've done this for 30 years. I could, or for 5 years, I need to keep doing it. No, it could be yes, okay, as a variable, but that should not be the only variable. It should be what is going to fuel me, what is going to what's going to make me want to come to work. And one is not better than the other. And it's not come to work just working for an employer. Some of you may be budding entrepreneurs. Now, personally, I think people should have that entrepreneurial mindset. I mean, if we haven't seen anything over the past couple of years of federal employees being laid off, Microsoft just let tons of people. I listen to, read, and watch a lot of business news, and every day there's cuts. So how we mitigate that is bringing our best stuff to the field, managing that, right? And I could tell you, sitting at leadership tables, there companies are not sitting around saying, "Oh, how can we make sure Armand and Karla have positions?" That doesn't work that way. That is your responsibility and it cannot be delegated. So you are going to have to make sure that it's almost like a business for those of you who are business students or business people. You've heard of the SWOT analysis, right? The acronym strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. What are your strengths? But if you can't name what your strengths are, what your superpowers you're bringing to the field, then you're at a disadvantage. And you have to know your weaknesses and make a decision how you're going to mitigate those weaknesses. Are you going to develop a train? Are those weaknesses even necessary for what you want to do? Is it worth developing a training plan and working hard to develop those additional skills? Is that something that could be delegated to something else? But you have to know what they are and what are the opportunities that really align with your strengths. So it is at some point you are looking at the external. I'm not saying it's not important at all to understand what's happening out there, but I'm saying as a first step, the foundation is understanding who you are, and then you can align to what the opportunities are, right? So in terms of and then the threats, if one of the things that we talk about in AI and career planning, you're not going to lose. The fear shouldn't be that you're going to lose jobs to AI and some jobs will be eliminated from there. You're more likely to lose jobs to people who know AI because you've decided you don't. Now I know this audience, you realize AI is an important tool and it's not going anywhere. But people that are deciding that, oh, that's not something I really have to pay attention to. That's not in my job. It's in every functional job, right? It's coming if it's not there yet. So if one takeaway is make sure that you are understand. There's even roles, that AI officer is not just a chief technology officer anymore. It's that AI officer because companies are looking for ways where those are the opportunities. And I heard somewhere on Wall Street Journal's podcast that Mark Zuckerberg, the head of Meta, he is directly recruiting the AI thought leaders that are going to bring Meta to that next level. I mean, millions of dollars he's offering them to come work for him so they can be the leaders of that AI revolution. So that's an opportunity to understand that space, right? So that's how Drive aligns with what your next is. And just a little bit about me. So, in terms of my practice, I work with people in terms of assessing who they are. There's a variety of tools that help really come out with personality, interest, skills, values, and motivations, HR services, performance improvement. And you can take a screenshot here of my name, my information. If you text me at 215-802-0050, I will send you a complimentary link that will allow you to get a 2-page Drive summary report that actually will summarize your superpowers as well as your kryptonite. So, again, take a picture of that. And I want to thank you, right? So, make your transition, make an informed transition. Everyone here, if you're here, you're interested in optimizing, you're interested in going to the next level. So, we want to help you get there. And again, shout out to Armand and Tribaja for making this intentional space for you to win and go to that next level. So, with that being said, we'll take any questions that you have, any comments, but we're here to support you. So, any questions?
I see. I did it again. I came back from mute from backstage, and I didn't have my mic on. But I was saying thank you for that. I think that was really really incredible. Earlier.
Oh, I have a question for you, Armand. I didn't hear your drive. What were your two?
I was thinking about it, and if I had to go back, I would say probably either. I got it right here. So I would say either a director. Ooh, honestly, it's tough. I would say relator, director, and intellectual are ones that really kind of resonate with me, all for different
So,
reasons.
what's your number one? What's your number one? If you had to choose one, if there's one you could not live without, if somebody said, "Oh, you're not gonna have this," you're like, "Oh, let me just wrap it up right now."
You know what? I'm gonna say it is definitely relator. I'm gonna say relator because I do think that um, I thrive off of community. I thrive off of networking, and I think that that kind of ties into my other strengths and skills. Like, when it comes down to creating a system, you can create a system by yourself, but sometimes you want to make sure that you're learning from the right people. You're learning from people that have done that and been in the places that you want to be. And that's something that you can get out of community. And I would very much say that moving forward, I think that I would encourage a lot of professionals or business people to lean into whatever community looks like for them, whether it being getting acquainted with the people that are already in your existing company, or just building a community around you that supports you in whatever your next endeavor is.
Exactly. And that makes so much sense just hearing your words and seeing what you do. So your tool may be that intellectual
Mhm.
side. Even when we were talking, you said, oh, we have to create a system because the systems are going to make your community interactions even
Yeah.
more efficient and you can move on to other
Yes.
communities, right? Or just make your communities even more
I
effective.
100% agree.
So and to my point, just making sure that it aligns because you're spending lots of hours working, and if you're doing something where you're not impacting people for you, you're gonna wonder, why don't I like this? Why am I feeling
I love
frustrated?
that. I agree.
Right.
And you know what? That kind of ties us right into our Q&A. I want to do some Q&A. I have some questions here that I think are going to help anyone that's in the audience now. It'll definitely help anyone that's watching the replays because as you may know, and I'm sure people in the Tribaja community know, Tribaja community is really made up of a couple of different uh, sub audiences. One being mid career professionals that are looking for that growth, looking for that next level, next thing in their career journey, and the other portion is professionals that may be transitioning into tech. Now, sometimes that what I thought about was like, sometimes people that are in that mid career role, they've been doing what they've been doing for so long that they get a shift that they're like, you know what, I do want to venture out into something else. I do want to try something else, and that almost requires them to think like someone that is just stepping into something new. So we're going to start the questioning leading off with some questions that will directly help mid-career professionals, and then we'll kind of close up with some questions for people that are transitioning into tech. Sound good? And
That
I
makes
want to let
sense.
everyone know that's watching. This is how we know that I'm speaking to a seasoned veteran and professional in her space. I did not give these questions to her beforehand. I just went based off of what her presentation was, and I know that she's going to be able to tailor it to this exact situation. So the first question is, for someone that's been in the industry or who's been in their industry for let's say 10 plus years, how can the drive framework really help them reignite that motivation and map out that next level of their career growth?
That's an excellent question. And it's a question asked by that intellectual. I hear that because you like map out and that system. But I think it really does start with knowing you first, right? A lot of times, how most of us end up in careers, we just fall in. We just like, if we stumble, oh, Uncle so and so said this. Oh, they're hiring down there. You should go down there. But you've never looked internally of what you're really supposed to do. So it is really taking a pause and assessing, what am I? What and sometimes I could tell by what your other activities are. If you are a person that's really active at your mosque or your church and you are always volunteering, you're probably a relator, right? And so, but if you are like an accountant and you're in a cubicle, that may be one reason you're feeling very frustrated. So, but if you can't tell if it's a mix match, if you don't have a foundation. So that drive assessment, it still starts with knowing who you are. And then I think it does improve performance. Being an HR person all those years, I fired tons of people. They're not bad people. They're just not in their design. And people, I think, Armand, quite honestly, the enemy is mediocrity. People think they can just show up to work and just do whatever, but we see it. We see it. I want someone that is empowered, working in their design, interested, desire to do that. You can train in anything. I can't train people on their design, meaning on what your design is, or to really have a desire. So I look for those first. But imagine if you know what really fuels you, and then you do the other work that's associated with that research. So the first step is still starting with what fuels you, and then actually looking on coming up on the mapping from there,
I love
right?
that. I love that. You said a couple of things that resonated with me. Obviously, the knowing yourself is so important, but you really just talked about how figuring out who you are is really what's your fuel for your drive, right? But then it's also understanding that that fuel is what helps improve your performance. And you really
That's
you really
right.
mentioned something about the enemy being mediocrity, that resonated with me because when we go back to talking about the SWOT, the biggest threat is not changing, not adapting, being the same version of yourself, year after year. There's so that every company is looking to improve, hit, new goals, improve their bottom line. So it would behoove us as the employee or someone that's working in an organization or even on your own business to figure out how you can be improving from quarter to quarter, year to year, and even on a granular level, day to day.
I think of two things. That's a perfect analogy. Whether you're a Samsung person or a iPhone person, there are
Yeah,
updates, right? Every month. If you don't update your
yeah,
phone, at some point you're not going to get what the performance from your phone, right? So you would never dream of doing the not doing the
exactly.
updates. So we're the same thing. And then I think about this is maybe is becoming more and more old school, but Blockbuster and Netflix. Probably half this audience never heard of Blockbuster, except I think it's a one building museum in Alaska now. But Blockbuster was
Yeah,
ahead of
it
Netflix,
was.
and but Netflix was willing to do streaming, and we're on the streaming right
Exactly.
now. But Blockbuster says, "Oh, we don't need no stinking streaming
Exactly.
now," because they refused to change,
I know.
right? So that Amazon started as a bookseller.
That's the truth.
Now they do
You have to be
everything.
ready to change. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try to do maybe like a rapid fire. That way I can get questions for both. So we have about 8 minutes left. I know we can get maybe three more questions in, but I'm gonna go over to professionals transitioning into tech, because I often think that I want to know for someone that's pivoting into tech from, let's say, a non-technical background, how do you think that drive system can help them really position themselves and position their existing experience as an asset?
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that I've seen. Like I'm not a techie in terms of I'm not trying to be in anybody's cube looking at, but I have such a respect
Yeah,
for it. So it's finding, and a lot of people I think eliminate their way out of tech because they're like, oh, I don't have the hard technical
yeah,
skills. But you saw what I displayed there, that there are so many different roles of that technology
mm-hmm,
industry. So that's what, and one tool I mentioned,
mm-hmm,
onetonline.org, is that's the Department of Labor's website where I talk about 33,000 different
yeah,
occupations. That's where you can really get an understanding of what the technology functions are because we only know what we know. We don't know what we don't
yes,
know. So what happens is, like when I say 33,000 different occupations, when I speak at different places, and let's say I speak before a group of students, they'll name the same 10 to 15
yeah.
occupations.
We need
So
diversity.
I'm saying,
There's so much
yes,
more out there, and I think that even in today's time, it's understanding that we really do live in a time where anything that you like to do, you can find a career around that. You can find any of your skills, anything that you grew up and you're like, oh, I felt like I had to give this up because I couldn't, I didn't see a pathway to making money or anything like that. I promise you, you can find it and you can do it. And so we're gonna go back to the mid-career professionals because you talked about improving performance, and oftentimes performance is really one of the things that helps lead you to those next steps in your career. How can mid-career professionals, or even early career professionals, use the drive system to really advocate for raises, promotions, or even more visibility at work?
no, that's great. So again, it starts there, but there are other tools to really find out where you're scanning. You're taking a full inventory. Okay. So yes, with Drive, you understand what motivates you, what gives you fuel, but you need to know what your tangible
Mm,
skills are as well. So you need to take a full scan of what your personality is, what your other interests are, and what are those hardcore skills and the values. And what picks up there is, if you have strengths that you're looking at, what I tell my clients is come up with firm examples of what of how those skills are demonstrated. So if you say, "Oh, I'm a great team leader," okay, give me specific examples, not chat GPT examples,
mm-hmm.
right? I'm asking, give me behaviors that demonstrate to me that you could do, that you own that skill, that you
Yeah.
demonstrated those skills. That's HRP. We are trained. There's something called behavioral based
Mhm.
interviewing. I'm looking for behaviors. I'm not looking for theory. I'm looking that you've implemented. So let's say somebody's a project manager. Say, okay, tell me about a successful project. Oh, what I did was I put the HR team and our operations team and our health team together, and then we ran reports and we met every Monday. If I'm listening for the challenges, because I know I've been around long enough to know that no project goes
Yeah.
well. So if you're telling me that you did the textbook version, that's how I know you don't really know. You didn't do it. You read about it, you heard about it, but you didn't actually implement. Because I'm looking for the stories, right? I'm looking for the fact that what you had to overcome, the challenges. I don't think people put enough prep
Mhm.
time in demonstrating what they've done, because we don't spend, I think that's the weakness, that we know, just like I said earlier, we know more about our phones, we know more about everything else than how we operate. Once we find out and do as much research as you would on buying a new car, on what you are bringing to the
I
marketplace.
love that.
What is your strategic
I
advantage,
love
right?
that. I love that. And it's so funny that you mentioned that. You mentioned a couple of things that resonated with me. One being that we have to put more prep time into, you know, not only understanding what we've done in our previous careers, but also being able to articulate that and articulate in a way that, like you said, shows our value, shows how we're able to overcome challenges. And one thing that I learned myself, over the last year, I myself have went through like a career um, shift and navigating my journey, and I realized I was like, interviewing is a skill. It's something that, like, you can't, as an individual, you want the job. You like, oh, if I get this interview, I want the job. But you have to understand that even before you get in front of that interview, you have to be doing practice, taking reps, and utilizing whatever resources and tools that are available to make sure that you are getting um, the preparation that is necessary to succeed. And that's going to lead to the last question, because the last question, I think, is going, and you briefly touched upon it. It's almost like you read the questions that I had here, and I promise you this wasn't planned, but it was really segueing into the interview process. Like, what are some practical ways that career switchers uh, can use the drive system during job interviews to really stand out and show their readiness? You touched upon a couple things, but if there are any more tips that you would give as a professional.
It's people want you to bring your authentic self. Like I said, that's what fuels you. And in sales, what we're taught a lot is it's an exchange of energy, right? The fuel. So don't, like, if your thing is people and that really fuels you, think of the examples of why you want to impact people if you're a leader, why you have this vision of, you know that there's unlimited potential if you're a director, and I want this, I want to break the system, I want us to be superb. If you're an executive, hey, I am motivated to make sure that we meet our goals. That's my design. And then showing 3 or 4 examples of that's what fuels you. That's the real stuff that comes out. I'm more of an introvert, except when I'm talking about careers and economic empowerment, right? So I like my sons and my husband, like, oh, they could see me at a party talking to somebody too long. They're like, oh, she's talking about careers. She's not gonna stop. So you might want to leave right now. So anything that fuels
Yeah,
you, that will pick it
yeah,
up. If you're just talking about skills and you're kind of just lukewarm on it, that's not going to be the thing that throws you over the
yeah.
top. Getting back to that fuel of yourself and being not being afraid to have that story in business, right? We're always talking about, oh, what's your
Mm,
pitch, what's your 30-second pitch? Do we say, well, what's your 30-second pitch for what you
mm,
do as an employee? We don't have the same sort
I
of
love
thing.
that.
We're just like, oh, show up. So I think just taking it seriously and doing the
I
work,
agree. I
finding it
love
out.
that. And one thing I'll say before we close out is that the truth of the matter is, whether it be talking about your skills, talking about your business, talking about your career, when you're speaking about something with passion, the other person on the other side feels that. And to anyone on the outside looking in, they may be laughing like, "Oh well, Carla's going on her rant again." But the truth is, the people that are engaged in that conversation, it doesn't feel like it's too much or anything like that, because they're wrapped in that conversation. And that's how, and let's be honest, we've all talked to someone that may have been for too long, but because they had a certain energy or passion about what they were talking about, you're like, well, I'm not gonna cut them off. Like, I'm not gonna cut them off. Maybe I'll add them in. So but I want to say thank you. I have to say thank you, Karla, because I really think this was incredible. I think that the system that you're able to provide, the Q&A, anyone that's watching that back is going to get some real value from that. And I want to really thank you for sharing your insights with the Tribaja community. And if there's anyone, quick 30-second last words that you want to say before I close out, I do want to turn the stage over to you real quick.
And like I said, I want to make that offer. Someone text your email address to 215-802-0050. Again, 215-802-0050. We'll give you a link to a complimentary report on your drive. What are your two-page report on what your superpowers are and what's your kryptonite, to use the Superman term, right? Because you want to win, and spoken like that relator executive, you want to bring your best stuff to the marketplace to improve your chances of getting what you deserve, right? So, in terms of the position that you deserve. So, text that to me and I will make sure you get that link and you'll get that complimentary
Yes,
report.
yes, yes. Thank you so much, Karla. I really appreciate you for being here. I hope anyone just sends this out to all their people. They rewatch it. They kind of go back through the drive system and really get a inventory of where they fall on that, and even do some more research about it. Just anytime we get new information, the best thing that we can do is add to it by learning more about whatever we just learned about, and then teach someone else, right?
And spoken like an intellectual, you say learn, teach, more information. That again, that's great. That's
Thank you.
great. And that's, if Armand is working with me, that's where I'm going to put him. Like, Armand, can you find out more information? Sure, Karla.
Thank you.
That's what you want people
I,
to do. You want them to work in their
I love
design.
that. So you heard it here first. You heard it from Karla, how you can maximize your potential, how you can find what fuels you, how you can operate within your design. To anyone that's tuning in, if you love this session, definitely make sure you be sure to follow Karla, follow Tribaja, RSVP for any of the upcoming episodes. Make sure you send this episode to at least one or two people that you know could benefit from what we talked about today. And if you're working on your career pivot, you're working to maximize your potential, definitely drop your biggest takeaway in the comments. We'd love to read those. But we will see you the next time in the Purple Room, where we don't just talk about these concepts. We don't just talk about change. We really strategize it, and we bring people in that can help you with that. So I want to say thank you again, and I look forward to seeing everyone soon.
Bye bye, everyone. Thank you, Armand.